Welcome back, Raider Nation and my champions. We're going to be starting a new series called the State of the Division, where we're going to take a look at each divisional rival and what they've been doing this offseason. And of course, we're going to start with the defending division champions, the Kansas City Chiefs. So each video in this season, we're going to be covering these items. We're going to look at the 2020 summary of each team versus the 2019 season. We're going to look at their personnel changes, additions, and subtractions. What I think their draft needs are going to be by position, and some favorable matchups that we can exploit based on these moves. So let's see how they did in 2020. Obviously, we're going to compare that to 2019. Now, the Chiefs arguably had the best 2 seasons of any team in the league. They won the Super Bowl in 2019 and were runners-up in 2020. This format is the same format I used during the Gruden season to see what our differentials here are, offense, defense, and special teams. Basically, the takeaways I have from this, obviously the offense has gone up, the passing offense has gone up. The defense took a step back, particularly in the pass defense, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Another thing is the penalties. They improved slightly here in about 20% differential, and not much improvement on the overall rankings compared to the other teams in the league. And I think that's probably more to the league not calling as many penalties, it looks like, in 2020 versus 2019. We talked about that during the Grading Gruden series as well. Special teams roughly about the same. So obviously they've had a great last 2 seasons here overall. Yeah, with the personnel changes, this should look very familiar as Raider fans here. They basically blew up their offensive line here. Fisher and Schwartz obviously weren't in the Super Bowl in Tampa, and that showed. If you want to watch my Super Bowl preview and review, they'll talk about that. But they cut both of those guys, saved almost $20 million total in cap space. Also cut Damian Williams, a backup running back, saved some money there. KO was on the team last year, had a knee injury, got it blown out, and he won't be returning, I don't think, in free agency here. And then this one's kind of a surprise. Austin Ryder, their starting center, he was ranked 12th in centers by PFF, and they have not re-signed him. He's an unrestricted free agent, and it looks like he's not going to be coming back. Now, the players they have signed, Joe Thuney from the Patriots gave him a big extension. He's going to be put in as left guard. And then Kyle Long, we talked about him. As Raider fans, he came over and visited us, and then he went over there and he signed a 1-year, $1.5 million deal, formerly of the Bears, coming out of retirement here. One thing I do want to note, some of their big guns did convert some of their initial base salary into bonuses and move those around, and that actually kind of cleared up significant cap space. So depending on where you look, they're anywhere from $17 to $20 million under the cap right now. Now, I mentioned that because my top 3 positional needs for them are based on current state, but they could very well re-sign Eric Fisher now. They have the cap space. Same thing with Austin Ryder, but obviously the tackle position, that's where they got eaten up in the Super Bowl. And we'll talk about, once we go into matchups, we'll get a little bit deeper into the current state of where they are with that. And then I put the draft picks. These are our current draft positions right here. Obviously, they could change. They can move up, move down. And then as far as prospects, I just took the ESPN rankings and then kind of ordered them, color-coded them by position here. So if they don't re-sign anybody right now, and assuming they don't, they could still pick up a right tackle, kind of like Tevin Jenkins, to back up Mike Remmers. We'll talk about him a little bit later, but there's also left tackles here that could kind of reach up. I like this guy right here, Liam Eichenberg from Notre Dame. I know some of you like Raduns from North Dakota State. I think he was kind of a big fish in a little pond. I think he's serviceable, but I don't think he's worth the first-round pick personally. And then they could go and maybe get another center here in the later rounds. Now, again, this is current state. Now, some of this is based on their signings. Obviously, I use similar color codes as far as free agents that have been signed. Remmers is still here. Remmers has been a right tackle his whole career. He did fill in at guard once KO got hurt, but I think this is his natural position, obviously. He is 32 years old. He'll be coming in, or he will be 32 soon. He'll be coming into his 10th season, and I think they need to get deeper at tackle, obviously. And then you have here Martinez Rankin, who was naturally a left guard, who was acquired in a trade in 2019 with the Houston Texans, and then blew out his knee. Came back last year late, played one game, week 16, didn't play in the playoffs, and between that and they're going to move him to left tackle. According to ESPN, this is the depth chart for him, and according to ESPN, he's the only left tackle they have. I don't see this working out for them, to be honest, at least at a starting position. Both the move and coming off an injury doesn't make any sense. Joe Thuney will be there. Obviously he's ranked PFF rank as their best offensive lineman. I would have to agree with that. Kyle Long's come in, and he will be plugged in as their right guard. Obviously, that's where he normally plays. And then you have Darrell Williams here, who was drafted in 2020 and is currently, according to ESPN, their starting center on the depth chart. Kind of similar to our situation with Andre James, maybe. Are they going to stay with him or not, or bring back Ryder? That's a question here. Obviously, we just talked about that with the salary cap. But as far as favorable matchups, we have to go based on current state. We can adjust after that. So obviously, based on that, these are the points of attack I would have based on their offseason moves. I think there's the weaknesses here. I like Yannick here being able to overpower Rankin. Again, current state. And this interior line now, I think we did need the interior line depth. But maybe part of that is them knowing and realizing who they've released and who they could possibly, their rivals, be possibly starting on the other side. And that's why they're trying to get anybody to have a solid interior pass rush presence here to stifle Mahomes, which would totally make sense. So now, while they did sign a couple free agent guards, I still think the offensive line is their major weakness that we need to exploit. They could also improve at the cornerback position, maybe add another wide receiver later on in the draft. But I want to know what you think. Give me your comments below. If you did enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up, like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching and supporting this channel, and as always, go Raiders.